Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. Today we'll be painting one of Joker's gangs from the 3rd edition box of the Batman Miniatures game, and I'll be using this guy as an example. So to paint him, I primed him standard Mechanicus gray. Then I used the following colors here. Used Army Painter Skeleton Bone, Daemonic Yellow, Pure Red, Shining Silver, Leather Brown, Mummy Robes, Matte White, Oak Brown, Matte Black, Jungle Green, Goblin Green, Electric Blue, and Warlock Purple. And I used one Vallejo. That's going to be Glossy Black, and that's what I did the room in the basin, because I like how it sparkles. And then I used 2 Citadel shades, so I used Nuln Oil and Reikland Fleshshade. So this model comes together pretty fast, in a couple of hours. So let's go ahead and get started. Now to start on our little fella here, I'm going to start with the hardest part, which is going to be the shorts. So plan to paint those yellow, because I hate myself. Yellow's a hard color to do. But to start, we're going to use Army Painter Skeleton Bone. So I've already put some in my palette, and I've got a brush here. And what I want to do is, if I just put the gray straight, the yellow straight over the gray, it will not show up. It'll take a lot of coats, and it'll never be quite what I'm looking for. So I need to lighten this up. So this is going to be a base coat over that gray. You don't have to worry about being neat at this stage. Now that the skeleton bone is dry, I'm going to use some Army Painter Daemonic Yellow. And we're just going to put one coat of this on. I want him to look clownish. Don't have to worry about being neat. That'll be the fun job for when we pick out the belt. Try to keep the belt loops and the boxer shorts separate from the yellow there. Going kind of for a Ronald McDonald vibe here. Now that we've got the yellow figured out, what we're going to do is his skin tone. So I'm going to use some oak brown. And I want to do the yellow first because now I'm going to trace around the shorts there. And it's easier for the brown to cover up the yellow than the yellow to cover up the brown. So we just take the brush and smoothly glide around the edge of the shorts. And it's gonna, looks like the Daemonic Yellow is holding up there. So we'll take a couple coats to get that done. But for the rest of the model, you can move a little bit quicker, getting the flesh color down. Now I'm going to put some matte black on. And that is for, I want my really sharp brush for this one. It's going to take some detail work. So you can see behind the mask, I'm going to say he's wearing a piece of fabric. So we're just going to trace out where I can, so they sculpted the fabric in here, and a lot of the Joker clown models have this. just I put my pinky down to hold my hand steady and just follow the mold line, the sculpture with the brush. Now we'll use Army Painter's Mummy Robes, and we're going to do white here. And there's two parts we're aiming for. The shoes, I don't want to hit the Mechanicus gray primer bottom there. So we're going to give them some pearly white kicks here. And then I want to use it on, don't want to layer on too much paint, but I want it on the mask. We'll now use Army Painter Jungle Green, and that'll just be for the little fluffs of hair on the side of the mask. Being careful not to touch anything else. I'm now going to use leather brown for the knife handle grip. That's pretty easy, just pretty much right here. Now I'm going to use some Army Painter Shining Silver. And that will be for the blade of the knife. And then we're also going to use it because it looks like there's a belt buckle right here. I wanted to give this guy a little more style, so I'm going to take some Warlock purple. I'm going to use that for his socks. They actually molded the top of the sock line into the model, so you just follow that around. Being careful not to touch the white of the shoe, but just trace around the edge there. I'm also going to have it for the boxers. Just nice, slow movements with the brush. I braced my hand against the paint handle using my pinky. That way I do not shake my hand. I'm trying to hold it in the middle of the air. Now we're going to use some pure red. We're going to start working on his clown mask. And the red, you don't need much of it, but I'm going to make it for his nose. So just spin them all around, trying to work very carefully. To get that big red nose. Now we're also going to So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip my brush in the paint, get a bunch in the barrel, and take a lot of it out. What we're going to do is take just the tip of the brush, and we're going to trace this grin. Now the problem you're going to have in doing this, you got to be careful, because I just want the lips. He's got teeth there. I don't want the teeth to be covered up. I don't want a bunch of the mask, the white parts of the mask, to be covered up. So just give him a nice big grin. So if you have too much paint in the barrel, or the brush squish out, as we're trying to just use the tip. There. And creepy smile there. Now we're going to switch over to electric blue, and I want that. So he's got eyebrows in here. So I want the blue just to trace out the eyebrow. Just slow and steady, tight, little controlled pieces of paint. So you got the eyebrows there. Something else we can do is you can see he's got eyelids sculpted into the mask. So we'll just highlight out the lids of his eyes. Give him a comical face. Time to work on the belt. For that we're going to use Goblin green. So I didn't want it to match the hair, but when you go around the belt you can see where there's belt straps. So we're just going to put our pinky right there against the handle, kind of cross away from the belt strap. And nice smooth, and then when we get to this side we'll just a quick cut down, kind of edge it away from the straps. So you find a belt loop, you mark it off so you get a nice clean cut, then you mark it off, go side to side, and then just drag the brush across the pants, the belt. And see, then we get a nice little belt line. Just keep doing that all the way around. At this point we're ready to apply shade to the model, so we're going to wash it. So I'm going to use Reikland Fleshshade and Nuln Oil. Now, I like Reikland for yellows there. So I want to be very targeted and specific. I'm going to take my brush, dip a little bit in the Fleshshade, and I'm just going to touch the yellow areas. Now we're ready to apply the Nuln Oil, and you're right in thinking that we're just going to apply this to the areas that aren't yellow. There'll be a little bit of bleed over between the two, but that's fine. It's not going to kill the model. So just start like the legs, just a light coat. Just pushing it into the recesses. Add a little texture to that blade, just a thin coat on the mask. There we go. That looks creepy. There we go. That actually got it so that the wash went right into the eye sockets. So it makes it look like it was painted on, which I'm looking for. Now what I'm going to do is take a whole bunch of Nuln Oil and just slop it on thick along the base here. It's basically staining the stonework. And then we're going to have to let this thing dry for a while. So you can see the wash has dried, so I'm happy with how it's turned out. So I'm going to go back to the Daemonic Yellow, and I'm just going to put a highlight down in the parts that would be facing the sun. So if you can remember that light's coming down. So we're going to highlight the folds in the cloth, and when we're 4 feet away, this will make the color pop. We just run the brush along those ridge lines there. Oh, that's looking pretty good. Next I'm going to take some Army Painter matte white, and what we're going to do is what we did with the yellow, we're going to do with the white. So I want to get some of these shoelaces here, so I'll just take the brush and run it sideways here. Don't want to have too much paint on here because I don't want it to smush off the raised edges onto some of the shadow there, and then it'll just look splotchy. And we can also use this to hit some of the raised areas of the mask so it pops a little bit more. Get like the cheekbones, jawline, some of the edging work. Just a couple points of interest. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the Warlock purple, and we're going to highlight some sections of the socks here. Just bring a little bit more color to it. So you can see they sculpted in folds into the socks, so we'll just go ahead and touch the ridges there. And we'll do that also with the boxers. So you've seen I've taken the model off the paint handle. That's because I'm going to paint the rim and the base. For my Batman models, I love using Vallejo's Glossy Black. And I do like this little candy coating on it. So I take a nice big thick brush there and just one thick smooth coat. Now we are done with the model. So it came out pretty well. It came together in a couple hours. Tabletop ready to play games of Batman. And we're just going to let this dry overnight before we seal it. Alright, well thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargame Labs. Keep on painting, and we'll see you next time.